we decided on a rotation yet, or is that still to be determined?
We know who we're going to pitch in the first game. That'll be Jake Reed, and then it depends on who we match up with, whether we win or lose. And I think most of the teams would say the same thing. So Jake Reed will throw the first game.
How difficult a decision is that to kind of change the way that things have gone, just the way that the format of the regional is set up?
Yeah, there's a concern. First and foremost, Jake has not lit it up as far as his performance the last 2 times out. And he's coming back on short rest. He only threw 85 pitches on Sunday, and he bounces back well. And that's another reason that you select certain pitchers, because the if game's on Monday and how many pitches he throws. If you have to play on Monday, you'd certainly like the opportunity to bring another guy back. The other part of that is you kind of set yourself up to match up pitchers for who they might pitch better against with the roster, and then inevitably you're trying to win the tournament. It doesn't do you any good. Certainly if you get in the loser's bracket, you'd like to last another game or day. But I've always been one in double elimination tournaments. Back when I first started coaching, they were 8-team double elimination, and then 6-team. You're always going to try to make your pitching selections based on winning the thing, because second place, nobody ever remembers who comes in second. You advance or you don't advance, simply. So, and that, the coaching staff talked about it, and we weighed out the short rest and how Jake's pitching, and thought it would be best to go with Jake in the first game.
Has there been a trend within the last 2 starts? His struggles, or anything you can pinpoint?
He hasn't had great command, and his stuff is still there, the velocity, and then whether it's a changeup or a slider, he'll throw 2 out of the 3 pitches are good, and then he has his little bouts of wildness or what have you, and that's kind of haunted him a little bit. So what we hope to see is the Jake that finished the season last year, including this superlative performance against Austin Peay for that deciding game in the regional.
George, he was your Friday starter for a while. Did that help mentally in this situation when you send him out?
Well, he's pitched not only the Friday starts, but he's pitched a lot of big games for us. So I guess the best way to answer that, Bob, is I think Jake gets excited when he pitches in scrimmages, just like he would get excited. So he's a very competitive kid, and a very high-strung kid, and so I don't think emotions are going to be the problem. It might be with some of the other young guys, but not for Jake.
Are you worried at all about how it might affect Tommy Thorpe's mindset later on in the weekend, not pitching that Friday night?
No, I think an extra day rest is good, and Tommy gets it. We're trying to win the tournament, and I don't think there's anything really negative about backing him up one day. And another day's rest, I think, is good for anybody.
So Tommy Saturday, full Sunday?
We're not sure.
Okay.
We don't know. It depends on who we play. We're in the winner's bracket, the loser's bracket, this kind of thing.
George, how do you feel about the bullpen of late? It didn't seem quite as sharp the last 2 series as they were.
Well, Jimmy, we decided not to use Sherfy in the Utah series. Clevenger wasn't quite as spectacular as he's been in the last 2 series, so hopefully he'll get back on track. And then Hunter and Jones were a little off of it too, but they were so good for so long, and hopefully that was just an anomaly, and they'll be back on track. They'll get the pitch this weekend, obviously.
What about the middle if you have to go to somebody?
We want to go undercover?
Yeah.
You guys want to go undercover?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nate, what have you learned about them in the past couple of days?
I haven't had a whole lot of time, but as I said before, my assistants provide me with a lot of the detailed scouting information. I've certainly taken a glance at them and seen their body of work, and as a head coach, sometimes you're pulled away to end hosting to make sure those I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and so I'll start to dig into that a little bit tonight with specific information and get good reports, good detailed reports by my assistants that watch a lot of tape, sometimes talk to other teams that are willing to share information. One of the disadvantages, I guess, to South Dakota State is that some of the video opportunities that might be available in some other conferences are not as readily available. for them. That's not a knock on their program. Even at Cal State Fullerton in the early championship years, we were behind the times a little bit, not anymore, but we were behind the times in video streaming and different things like that. So I'm sure what we'll get, it's always a little bit more about us than it is our opponent anyway, whether it's lack of information or a lot of information. We'd rather focus on our effort and our game, and certainly the scouting information provides you with advantages, but if you get too much involved in the other team, then you're not concerning yourself with the sport or the game and the baseball. And so I'm sure my assistants will find a way to get some information for me, and I'll start digging in on that tonight.
Was there anything that they noted, going through, anything that stood out to them in just their initial research on?
No, I mean, they've got good offensive, they've got good balance, it looks like. They've got several kids in the order that have some good numbers, and typically they have a couple starting pitchers that are forced to be reckoned with. And you don't make it to the field of 64, no matter what league you're from or what level of league you're from, without being a good baseball team. And baseball is a sport that it's a great sport, because I think it isn't about coming from a power conference. It isn't about coming into the tournament 50-6, so to speak. It's what you do in that game, in that tournament, and the landscape of how you're playing can change from game to game and week to week. And it isn't about having a bunch of 6'9" kids that can jump out of the gym, or Marcus Mariota, or out physical in somebody. It's about outplaying somebody. And so the purity of that is the best team usually wins tournaments, and the best team, the team that plays the best, usually wins the national championship. It isn't about polls and expectations.
How about first couple games of one of these? You kind of alluded to winning it. It's pretty challenging to come back, isn't it? You get 2 wins on Sunday, you lose one of the first two.
Nobody wants to get in the loser's bracket. Really, to be honest with you, in a double elimination tournament, the first game's critical, but the second game is the most critical game, because that saves the game. There's really not much difference in losing your first game and your second game. You still are required to play the same amount of games. So, you'd like to say we'd like to win it in 3, because you don't get as deep into your pitching staff. But we'll do whatever we have to do and whatever happens. But like I said, game 2 is that swing game where it saves you a lot of innings, and the road to getting back to winning the championship is a lot shorter if you can win both the first 2 games.
Any update on the injury guys? Are you still hopeful at this point?
No, we talked to our trainer this morning. He's doing everything he can. Even if I knew accurately, it's still going to be day to day, because some of them are backs and some of them are ankles, and if they tweak that in any way, then they might be back on the shelf. So we hope to be, as I said the other day, we hope to be as close to 100% as we possibly can be.
How important is it going to be for seniors such as JJ to show up this weekend and lead this team through a regional?
Well, JJ's an important piece of the puzzle. He's a young man we don't worry a whole lot about. He's always played his best in the biggest environment. Start the season, regional, the at-bat that he took on Friday night with the bases loaded against Kent State, where he hit the ball about as good as he can hit it. JJ, and that's a reason that we're talking about him right now. What makes him special is he'll be as focused today in practice as he will be Friday night. And he's a guy that doesn't say a whole lot, but if I was a young player, I would watch how he goes about his business, because whether it's his defensive circle, taking the field, taking at bats, we have a little cliche that we like to use. JJ gets big in the box, big in the circle, and he gets big for big games. So I don't worry about JJ. I worry about some of the other guys that try to do too much, or they bring their playoff face instead of their face. The mission, even for me, is to bring my coach face, just like when we started the first game in Hawaii many months ago. The trap is you try to bring your playoff face, and then everybody recognizes that's not my real face. So easy to talk about. Words are words and actions are actions. But I can assure you, JJ will be normal this weekend, and I'm sure he'll play very well.
Thanks, George.